about sending out more notices to when we got more finalized dates from Eric and from the contractor dudes, that we would give notice. Because people are at work and everything, right? And so at least like they could shut off their water while they're at work when it's coming, or, just kind of like, but yeah, we did talk about those kinds of things, and we'll send the notice out as we get the information available. All we can do. Yes, sir.
And I'm just kind of thinking as I go here, could maybe we set up some sort of a line for people to call in when their place, when their line before their house goes out, so they can say, hey, I now have to dig up my yard and fix this, so that you guys have a better idea of how many houses around town have that issue.
As at any time, if you need water turned off, call City Hall. We will get the message to Eric. Right?
And the other number is, you call Sheriff's Office.
If it's after hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Sheriff's Office has the order in which to call people. Yes, ma'am?
Last question, and I'm going to start coming to these meetings. I'm so sorry that I don't. I do feel bad. About how many estimated households do we have in town paying for the water bill? Do you know? 800.
Carrie, how many water bills do we send out?
She went to the
It was reported a couple of meetings ago that there's a little over 900 accounts. That's both residences and businesses.
Okay. And then is there a public budget of the water tower?
The construction project?
Yeah, just a budget for where our water bill, the $75 is going, how long it'll take to pay it off, like.
We have a budget for the project itself, and we are in the budget setting process right now for the next fiscal year. If you'll recall, I'm not sure how many minutes ago now, when I talked about what the money on the water bill will be used for. As we get closer to the end of the project and we start closing out and we know what the debt service will be, we will know how much money we need to be holding in reserves, because those will be governed, and what can go to current operations, what will be needed for future repair and replacement. Some of those amounts will be governed by the bond indentures themselves. Until we know the final indebtedness, we won't have those numbers. Was there a question back there?
I was yawning, I'm sorry.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, but I believe that your initial increases were based on a spreadsheet of the expected costs and the expected debt service, like the expected final cost, and what we should be looking into for reserves. Correct? Yeah. Correct.
Yes, and that is where DEQ said for this level of indebtedness, we need to have this coverage for the debt service and operating expenses, and that's how the council selected the amount of increase that it believed it would be necessary. And again, as those numbers come to us and we have more definitive information, again, if we can reduce those rates, we will. Or I'll ask the council to do that, because the council is the one to make the decision. But that has been my intention from the time we started this.
But as an aside, if you don't mind, Mayor, please bear in mind that part of the problem that we're facing is the fact that over the last 70 years, the council and the citizens didn't want taxes. They chose literally not to prepare for this day. Responsibly, we really can't do that in the future. So the expectation that this might someday go to zero, that the entire amount will be backed off, unfortunately, that's not reasonable. Otherwise, we end up doing this again when it's a lot more expensive in the future. However, we do want input. While we're unable to set those numbers today because all the money hasn't yet been spent, once that has happened, we'd love to hear from people about, we know the payoff is in this much time. What do you want to do after that? How much do you want to prepare for? How much do you want your grandchildren to be prepared for?
So, thank you, Councilman. That I was going to let you know earlier that at one time when we're looking at the bonding for this project, we were looking at a 20-year bond. And because of what that increase looked like, we said, what would it look like to go out 30 years? And that reduced the amount of increase necessary. But also keep in mind that we will all pay more interest during that time. But because there was a lesser impact on the rate increase to go out 30 years, that's what council decided to do. And then I did the math and went, wow, maybe I won't see the end of the payout of those bonds. Other comments? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Brenda Banks. Is there any plan or any thought if the older blocks in town, if not on the private people's portion, but in the street, if those pipes implode, is the city from the
So from the water mains to the curb stop, that's the city's responsibility.
And are you ready if older blocks have issues?
What Eric said earlier was that at this point in time, he believes that the city mains and up to the curb stops are going to be okay, but we cannot guarantee that. Not unlike when we were doing the valve work, gosh, what was that, a year ago? Yeah, it was kind of cold. They're doing that in the winter, so the additional installation of additional valves in the city mains so that we could not have to turn water off to 6 or 8 blocks at a time if there was an issue. So more valves and those fire hydrants. Many times during those initial digs, so we don't know what's under the street until we open it up. And our contractor ran into some interesting challenges from time to time.
I get how this.
Yes.
May I be excused for a moment?
Yes, you may.
We'll say
There's far too much talk about water, I think. Yes, yes.
So I've had a couple people approach me, and so the way the water tower looks right now is not how it's going to look in the end. It will be painted. It will not remain green and concretey. So I just want to point that out for the record because people are concerned that it's at its final
Yes,
stage.
it will be, the tower itself will be a beige color, a tan beige color. And the lettering on the tower, both on the east and west side, will be similar to the logo that you see out on the City Hall sign. So the kind of the swoop of the Townsend and mountains and a lake and some trees and Montana on the other side of that, or on the bottom of that. So, yes, ma'am.
In relation to what she was saying, so am I hearing that we will be notified that we're gonna do the preliminary test starting June 15th for a week? And then,
So the letter that we sent out, the flyers that we sent out did have that information on it, but the testing will be in June.
in June, but I'm
yes.
saying for those of us that are trying to figure out how we're gonna get somebody
Yes.
in and,
We committed to, when we have a better idea of, a more definitive idea of when
Exactly.
that's going to happen, we
Okay.
will communicate again.
okay, cause I'm gonna be gone for a month and I gotta figure out when I'm gonna get a plumber in and pay for it, and so that would be helpful. And then in August, when the real deal is, we'd be, of course, told. We're going. and this is the date, so we know what to look forward to.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Anything else? Are we all waterlogged? Okay. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your willingness to come spend an hour and a half essentially with us. Certainly you are welcome to stay for the remainder of the council meeting. With that, we will move on to our next agenda item.
But I understand.
And I certainly will understand if you have had enough.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is the July 4th event application. This is from the American Legion Auxiliary that has submitted the American Legion, or the event reservation application and event application. We have received the barricade plan. We don't have an admission, they won't have an admission fee. They are expecting some solicitors and vendors on that day for the July 250th anniversary of the United States. We've got initialization of all of the statements that we are now expecting from our event coordinators. What we do not have at this moment is the insurance package, and Carrie, is that supposed to be in
Next week.
next week?
Yep.
So this is for basically a parade,
Are they closing?
or
And
a
a
parade,
strolling parade.
a strolling parade.
They're closing everything in yellow and for that time period? July 4th?
Yes.
Or, yes, yellow is the
Would you
parade
like to pass
route.
that around so everybody can see it? Thank you.
So the primary parade, I'm presuming, will actually be down Broadway using a similar route as to the rodeo parade. And looks like we will have, it's marked as a parade along Front Street from D to 2nd. And looks like probably the staging area is on Pine Street.
So we're closing off 287 from both ends of town?
That's a good question. For 4 hours?
For 4 hours. We can certainly ask for clarification on that.
I'm just not
They,
I
the
think Derek
event,
is-
yeah.
he might know.
the event application itself says Highway 287 to Walnut Street. So that would be,
The normal parade route.
yes, traditional.
Right, tradition.
I'm not sure there's anything normal about this, but yes.
It got 287 got worked.
Yeah, because
Yes.
the highway was marked. So.
Yes, so we're coming on to that 60-day timeframe with respect to approving an event. Council can approve the event pending the receipt or knowingly defer this decision to
Do we
next
have
meeting.
any issues other than the missing insurance form